Hey y'all, and welcome to Stivers Homestead. I'm Zach.
And I'm Jim.
And today we want to talk about the top 5 must-have herbs in your garden. We're going to go from ingesting and eating, to making medicine out of it, to making tinctures, salves, etc. This is going to be our top 5 for your apothecary and for your medicinal cabinet.
We're excited.
So coming up with just the top 5 was absolutely ridiculously hard. It was so hard to do because we make over, what do we say, over 40 tinctures?
Yeah.
40 different tinctures with 40 different herbs. So narrowing that down to 5, because we was thinking more of the backyard gardener or someone with a more limited space. And if they're saying, if I had to choose 5, I can commit 5 little boxes for this, what would they be? And with Jen's expertise, I think we narrowed it down to a pretty good group.
I think so, but there also might have to be another video here or there.
Right.
To highlight some others.
Top 5 asterisk, like the second
top 5 today.
Yeah. All right, so let's jump right into this. Our number 1 tincture that we think you should grow is?
Turmeric. It's our number 1 herb that we think you should grow.
Yeah, what did I say?
You said tincture.
It's early. My bad. I'll get there.
So we love turmeric. It's a really easy thing to grow. He's going to talk about how you grow it and what it likes and how you make it successful. But it is our top herb ever. I think that if we could ever suggest that you grow one, that would be it.
Yeah. So turmeric, it actually grows a lot like ginger. It looks a lot like ginger too. And you're actually going to get the health benefits from the root like ginger. So it's going to grow. It's going to, like I said, it's going to look identical basically, besides it's going to be a very vibrant orange. The root is going to be really, really orange. And it's going to grow up, and then you're going to harvest the roots themselves each year. And that's how you kind of grow through the process. Now, when it comes to growing turmeric, you can grow these in containers. You can get like those big grow bags and grow them out. We actually grew Jerusalem artichokes in these big grow bags last year because it's kind of similar to that as well, I would say, plant-wise and how it looks. Now, it does get pretty tall. It's more, I would say, tall than girth, but it can definitely spread out. Your biggest thing is, though, you're just trying to keep that plant healthy until you get to the end of season to where you can harvest the root itself. So that's how you grow it. What do you do with it?
So turmeric is awesome for a lot of things. One of our favorite ways is to use it in tinctures. So tinctures are the most potent form that you can get. So a lot of people will put turmeric in capsules. They'll cook with it, which we do as well. There's a bunch of other different ways to ingest it, but when you do it in a tincture, it makes it the most potent form. So that's the way that we like to do it. Turmeric is so good for inflammation, inflammatory, it's issues that pretty much your basic average person has every day because of the foods we choose to eat or our weather, our environment, just the different things that we do that cause our body to have inflammation. And turmeric is wonderful for that.
Yeah, I completely agree. And I would say there's a few different properties that you do it. So when we use tincture, what she's meaning is the actual root itself. Now, there's other forms that you can create this. One of the more popular ones is in powder. And that's when you're doing more of the eating with it. I wouldn't necessarily say make a tincture out of the powder. We've tried that in the past, and it's such a dense powder that it's almost hard for the vodka or whatever property you're using to penetrate it. And then the second piece of that, it's hard to filter it all out. So you definitely want to make sure that you're using the root if you're going the tincture route, but you can also create it into a powder form.
Yep. Our next favorite herb is oregano. And this one is really, really easy. Anyone can grow oregano, whether it be in a pot indoors, whether it be in a pot outdoors, in a bucket, or if you put it straight in your garden and let it kind of take over and bush out. But oregano is wonderful. Most people know oregano for just cooking with because it tastes really good and it's got kind of the Italian-based properties that people love, a lot for bread and pastas, things like that. But a lot of people also don't know that it's really healthy for you. So oregano, the herb, is an antiviral, antibacterial, antibiotic. It's got all the wonderful properties that people don't realize that it has. And it's a really great herb. So our favorite thing to do with it is to make oregano oil. So that's where you soak the oregano itself, dried oregano, in extra virgin olive oil or your good quality or oil of choice. And then you soak it for 4 to 6 weeks and it becomes an antibiotic. So we sell that in our store. It's one of our favorite things. People absolutely love it. There are things that you have to be careful with. You never want to take it for over 2 weeks, but it's really one of those things that you need to have in your medicine cabinet.
Yeah, and it's one of those that she touched on this. Make sure you're doing your research before you actually start treating this as a medicinal plant and you start ingesting and taking this stuff. Do your research. Figure that stuff out, like she was saying. However, I do want to also add oregano, because I think it's kind of a surprise herb. Like when you said oregano, like I knew that you are a big fan of it, but I don't think the viewers necessarily think of it as like a top 5 herb.
Yep.
And I think she explained it pretty well on why it is. But I also want to explain that oregano oil smells amazing. Like how many of us have went to these fancy infused oil places and you're smelling them all? I don't think one really beats oregano oil.
Yeah.
It smells so good. So all kinds of different uses for it, but it's crazy that it's an antibiotic as well.
Yeah.
And that's why it's in our top 5.
Very underrated.
Very underrated. All right, number 3. This one comes to no surprise to anyone if you've watched our channel even a little bit. Comfrey. Comfrey is an amazing, amazing plant to grow. It has so many different properties that you can take out of it and so many different uses. So Comfrey itself, let's talk about the plant. We sell the seeds now. A lot of people think that they're very hard to germinate. What it is they take very long to germinate. They don't need anything special whatsoever. Like the seeds that we sell, unfortunately, we're out of stock at this moment, I think. But
we do have Comfrey starts, though.
We do have
if
Comfrey
you come
starts
to the store.
Yeah, absolutely. The thing is, all I did when I started them was just put them in the greenhouse when it wasn't really warm yet, because they are kind of they're perennial, so they don't necessarily need high temperatures to germinate. But it was just constant watering every day, paying attention. And then finally, after about 2 weeks, everything started sprouting up. So if you do get seeds and they're taking a while, just give them time. They ain't hurting nothing. Just keep watering them. Once you get those bad boys started, your Comfrey ain't going to die. It is a hardy plant. It is one of those that will hang out with you forever as long as you don't completely pull it up. And even when you completely pull it up, you probably missed a root or two, and you're going to see some shoots come back up, because most commonly the Comfrey spreads by its roots, and so it will take over an area 100%. I don't know if you can see it in the background, but if you've ever seen any of our garden tours, we have it in the middle of our kitchen garden, and we're probably going to be expanding that out a little bit more, because our Comfrey salve, which we sell in our store, is really taking most of our Comfrey that we're growing. But the other pieces that you can use Comfrey, let's break them down. One is fertilizer for your garden. You can make a Comfrey tea, which is basically just soaking this Comfrey in water for a long time until it stinks really, really bad.
Or just chop and drop.
Yeah, chop and drop as well, because it's great. You just, like, what she means by that is literally cut it, sit it on your beds, and just let it go into it. But then you could also make the fertilizer tea, which it smells horrific, but your garden absolutely loves it. Second piece, if you have livestock, Comfrey is great for them. They love eating Comfrey. It's one of their favorite things to eat, to be honest with you. So if you have an abundance of it, you can cut it up, throw it in there, and it's food for your animals. Yep. Another piece, like we had mentioned, is Comfrey salve. Comfrey is great for aches and pains. So if you have sore joints, achy muscles, arthritis, stuff like that, you can make a Comfrey salve, which is very simple to do. We've done several shorts on how to make salves. It's just beeswax, your favorite high-quality oil, and the dried Comfrey. So that dried Comfrey soaks in the oil for about 4 to 6 weeks. You strain it, put your beeswax in your oil, boom, you have salve. So with that, then you would be placing it on your achy spots as often as you need it, and it's going to really help relieve that pain that you have. But Comfrey is a tip-top herb to make sure that you're growing.
Yep. Our next favorite herb to grow, this is the 4th one, is elderberry. So elderberry has kind of gotten really popular, and it's kind of a name that's in everybody's mouth, whether you know it from elderberry syrup, elderberry tinctures, just the berries themselves. Everybody wants to get their hands on elderberry.
It's sort of like elderberry alcohol.
Yes. And sometimes it's really difficult to get your hands on elderberry. So we suggest to everyone that you should grow it. So the most way you do that is grow it from cuttings. You can take cuttings from established bush that maybe your friends have. You can order cuttings online. Our favorite place to get them is River Hills Harvest. They always have good cuttings.
I'll put links down below on just quick hits to get to these things.
Or if you get lucky enough and you are blessed to have a property that grows Comfrey wild, elderberry wild, that's an amazing thing. Here in our area, it's very popular. So we have Comfrey everywhere, but we also do from cuttings. Oh my gosh, why are you saying Comfrey?
It's early, I told y'all.
I keep saying that.
Yeah, I don't know, because I guess we just talked about it. Time out. Regroup. All right.
I quit.
As she regroups, I'm going to continue to talk about elderberry.
Comfrey.
Oh, let's see. Where did you leave off?
I don't know.
Okay. Oh, we talked about the plant. Okay, so elderberry is a bush. It's going to grow big and bushy. Now, one thing I will tell you that I always like to warn people with elderberry, if you're in an area that grows pokeweed, elderberry and pokeweed look very similar once poke gets established and has its berries. Now, one difference with poke is it's going to have its stem, and the berries are going to be on the outside. So it's going to be, look, want to say a rectangle is the best way I can compare it, but it's going to be a stem and there's going to be berries on each side. Elderberry, it grows into a bush, and then the part that's going to have the head, it's more of a circle. Imagine a sunflower that's getting heavy and hanging over, and then it's going to have all the berries hanging down like this, more into like a circled kind of situation. Do not go grabbing elderberry and or poke if you are not 100% confident what you're grabbing, because poke is poisonous once it gets to that situation. So you want to make sure that you do know that what you're identifying if you are foraging. The way to solve that, grow it yourself. Like she said, know confidently what you're growing and where it's at. Another thing with elderberry, elderberry loves water. It is not one of those that you're going to just go plant in the middle of your garden that gets good sun and you're waiting on the rain. If you have a creek area around you, or if you have a wet spot that holds water a little bit longer, that's where you want to plant elderberry. It loves to have water all the time, as much as it can take. So that's one thing to keep in mind when you are going to go plant these out. But getting your cuttings to start, it's very simple. You would put them just in a little mason jar of water, wait till you get a little leaf popping up, and then you're ready to go into the ground. Those bad boys will root just great. But elderberry, like she had mentioned, is immune boosting. It is the top dog for immune boosting. So, you know, when
colds and flus,
yes, it's going to help you out and all that. And the biggest thing when it comes to any herb, any that we've talked about, it's not like over-the-counter drugs. You're not going to take one shot of elderberry and bam, you're better. It's going to take you out. All these herbs need a couple weeks to get into your system before you're going to start seeing some of the benefits from it. Another thing I wanted to add, because a lot of people ask, it's not necessarily going to make you never get sick again. What these things do is help bring your symptoms down. So like I always explain it as in, I can still get a little sick, but it never takes me down. Is the best way I can explain it. You know, it's not going to put you in the bed. It's going to help you get through it for the most part. So it's those minor things that you're not necessarily knowing, but it's giving you big impacts.
Yeah, and when we do talk about using elderberries, we're talking about using dried elderberries.
Yes. One last thing on elderberries before we move on, because it's something that we used to do in the past. We don't do a whole lot now, so it's not always on the top of our mind, but it's elderberry syrup. So you can actually make elderberry syrup and can it and have it in your pantry for a long time. The only thing is with elderberry syrup, it's not as concentrated as tinctures. That's why we moved to tinctures. But it is more, I guess, almost more enjoyable. Yeah. It's more tasty. And then you can also add honey to your elderberry syrup. You don't want to add that till after you open it. You don't want to can with honey. But that helps sweeten it up and gives you a few more health benefits because honey is very good as well. So that's another option you want to take if you don't want to do tinctures.
Yep. Last but definitely not least is garlic.
This is tough. It was tough. Her and I had like 5 of them to pick, and we landed on garlic.
Yeah, so if you know us, you see our farm. Garlic is one of our favorite things to grow. It's wonderful. We love to cook with it. We love to preserve it. I'll let him talk about how we grow it, and then we'll go back to its medicinal benefits.
Yeah, so it's super simple to grow. It's one of those, every October I do a video. I say, plant this or you're going to regret it later. So in our area, Zone 6B, we plant around October. What you're going to do is you're going to plant right around that first frost is when you're really going to plant your garlic into the ground. You get the bulbs, you get them wherever you want. You get them planted deep, and then you're going to put a pretty good layer of protection over it because you're protecting the bulb. Think potatoes. You know, you're trying to keep it from the sunlight. So you're giving it a bed basically to just be setting in over the winter. Better comparison, tulips, how you would plant tulip bulbs. You're planting them in the fall, you're keeping them buried. They're just going to be docile until spring comes, most likely. Ours always start sprouting in December. Yeah. Now, the thing is, I think one of the biggest mistakes that people make when they're growing garlic is when those things start sprouting, they cover them back up. Like they put more bedding over it. Garlic's tough. Once it takes off, you're good to go. So just make sure that you have a good solid bedding to protect the bulb. Don't worry so much about the sprouts. It can freeze, it can frost, it can do all the things. And we don't even water it at all. Like unless we have like a big bad drought in July. But that's the only time we ever even touch it. It's literally a plant and let it go. And then right there's how it goes. Yeah. Once you're getting close to the end, you're feeling like you have hard neck, soft neck. Some do, some don't. They're gonna have garlic scapes that'll pop up. It's literally just a little green that has a bulb in it and what comes to a point. Those garlic scapes are actually really tasty, but you want to cut them off because that's where the energy of the plant's going to go into instead of going down into the bulb. So you want to cut all those off, but save them because they have a lot of good uses that you can do as well. And then the garlic itself, it's time to harvest when they start dying down. So when the tops start browning and they're starting to droop, that's when it's time for you to get your garlic. Around here, June, July, depending on how our weather is. So we're getting pretty close. But from October to June, we just let it go.
Yeah. One of the biggest cons about that people always ask, well, it's going to take a an entire area for 6, 7, 8 months. And that is a con. However, it's so medicinal and good for you that it outweighs that con for us. So if you can just build a small raised bed anywhere on your property, put it in the corner, put it out of the way, just something, and let it sit and just grow that garlic, and know that that bed is just for garlic. You're most likely not going to put anything else in there, then it's worth it.
Yeah, absolutely. And when you do harvest in like June or July, there are stuff that you can throw in there real quick.
Yeah.
You can get some bush beans in it. You can do some cucumbers, stuff that grows real fast. So it's not a complete waste. You can get a secondary round in there.
So garlic is most commonly known for cooking with. And it's kind of like oregano. It's one of those herbs that everybody cooks with and everybody loves. You love the taste, you love the smell, but you don't realize how medicinal it is. So garlic is also an antiviral, antibacterial, wonderful properties. If you're cooking, you're automatically infusing that into your food, and you're getting all that. However, we love to also preserve it. So we'll put it in a basket in our pantry, and it'll last us all year long when we harvest it like this. You just need to let it dry and cure. But it'll sit and it'll harvest. But when you get close to the time of planting more garlic, or if you're in the wintertime and you're needing a really good project and there's sickness and stuff going around, the most popular thing and common thing that we like to do is to soak it in honey. So get you some raw, unfiltered, organic honey, put those garlic cloves in, you peel them, you don't chop them, you just stick the whole cloves in the honey in a mason jar or a bucket, however much you want to do, and then you eat that honey after it infuses for about a month. You eat that honey every day, and it is so good for you. It's literally just natural medicine that sits on your counter, and that's it. It's so easy.
I tell you, if you've never actually ate the garlic itself after it's been infused in honey, that is such a unique and wonderful flavor that you have. It's so good, because you know how garlic tastes. It's got its own specific flavor, but then with that sweet honey, man, it is really, really good. So that's our top 5. Very tough.
For today.
Yeah, it's our top 5 today. There might be another video next week with our new top 5. But I think if you grow these, you're going to cover most areas of your health that you need. It might not be all the most common ones that you've heard, and it might have been some that were a little bit more surprising, like the oregano and the garlic. But they all have very unique benefits for you, your health, and your family's health.
Yeah.
So if you have the space, we highly recommend growing them. There's so many more we can talk about, but we're not going to in this video.
But these are also easy access to get your hands on.
Yes.
So there's a lot of herbs that I love and know that are difficult to get your hands on and grow, but these are very simple. Turmeric you can get from Hall's Tools. They've started selling it by the root.
Mm-hmm.
Oregano you can literally get from anywhere. Walmart has it.
Yeah.
Comfrey you can get from us or online. There's seeds, there's starts. Elderberries you can get from the River Hills Harvest, like I talked about. And then the garlic you can get also from Hall's Tools.
Yeah, and so all of these plants are ready to start going right now, besides the garlic. But you can start planting your area, figure out where you want to have it. And then I'm pretty sure Hall's, around July or August, that's when they put out for sale all their garlic. And you want to get it pretty quick if you're wanting theirs. But you can get garlic most anywhere. A lot of people ask, can I use grocery store garlic? You can, but just know where your food's coming from, right? Go back to our previous videos. If you get it from Kroger, it's going to be really pretty because what they spray on it.
Well, yeah, it's going to be heavily sprayed, which is going to make it hard to bloom.
Sprout.
Yeah, sprout. That was the word.
And, so try, at least if you are going to get it from the store, make sure you're trying to at least get organic, with whatever organic means nowadays in the grocery store. But that's better than just grabbing the Great Value brand, I guess is what I'm saying. So I'm curious. A lot of herb gardeners out here. What are your top 5? Throw them down in the comments what your top 5 herbs to grow in your garden are. And if you're new and becoming, what are the ones that you've been kind of playing around with? We love hearing your all's feedback. We love hearing what you're growing. But that, for now, is our top 5. Anything else you want to add about apothecaries in general?
Start one today. It's never too late, but the best time is yesterday. So go ahead and get it started.
Yep. And let us know if you like this style of video. It's something that we're kind of trying out to see if it's good information for you all. And we enjoy just talking about plants. All right, y'all. If you're new around here, hit that subscribe button.
We love y'all.
Until the next one.
Bye.
Bye.